Good afternoon, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our citizen workshop for our 2023 and 2024 storms. My name is Thomas Hartman. I serve as the Bureau Chief of the Business Operations. We run our housing programs through the Office of Long-Term Resiliency at FloridaCommerce. I'm joined by my peer, Alicia Beheadam.
Good morning. I'm Alicia Beheadam, the Bureau Chief over the Subrecipient Programs in the Office of Long-Term Resiliency, and I work directly with the municipalities on infrastructure type projects, mitigation, and HMG&P.
Thank you, Alicia. We're really glad to have this opportunity to share about the process of our 2023 and 2024 storms funding, as well as receive input on what needs remain and how we can best assist you in your communities. So thank you for being here. Today, we'll begin with going over what you can expect out of this presentation. The presentation will cover some Office of Long-Term Resiliency program highlights, the 2023 and 2024 CDBG-DR funding timeline, our state action plan development process, the communities that are eligible to receive this funding, and our housing program and subrecipient infrastructure program outlines. And then lastly, we'll close the workshop, and we'll give you guys sort of an email address to submit your questions to us formally. So we can respond to all of those directly. So to start things off, I'd like to provide some background information on what our office does. FloridaCommerce is the governor-designated state authority responsible for administering the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Funds awarded to the state, excluding funds directly allocated by HUD to individual counties and cities. The Office of Long-Term Resiliency utilizes these funds to support long-term resiliency for housing, infrastructure, and economic development in Florida communities impacted by disasters. Launched in September 2018, Rebuild Florida is a FloridaCommerce program created to allocate federal funds to help Florida long-term resiliency efforts from the devastating impacts of recent storms. CDBG-DR funds are intended to be the last resort for addressing unmet needs after any and all sources of funding, including United States Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, insurance funding, and Small Business Administration, SBA loans are exhausted. FloridaCommerce will prioritize award allocations for the most vulnerable populations. So why we are here? As we jump in, we'd like to share the reasons for why we're here today. HUD announced that the state of Florida would receive the CDBG-DR funding to support long-term resiliency and mitigation efforts following the 2023 and 2024 storms. While working with Florida's impacted communities, OLTR is developing an action plan to guide how this funding will address unmet recovery and mitigation needs following the impacts of Hurricanes Idalia, Debbie, Helene, and Milton, as well as the 2024 North Florida tornadoes. The most important part of why we're holding these workshops is that it helps us to understand the unmet needs of Floridians and communities directly impacted by the 2023 and 2024 storms. As we implement programs funded by more than $925 million for eligible counties, it is crucial to provide opportunities for input from communities around Florida. So it's imperative that these workshops provide opportunities to hear directly from those like yourselves that were impacted by these various storms. These workshops also serve to assist in mitigation efforts from future disasters for Florida communities to be more resilient. On this slide, you can find the CDBG-DR program timeline, beginning with disaster impact and FloridaCommerce's process for awarding funding through the CDBG-DR program. It's a 10-step process, the first being the publication of the allocation announcement notice by HUD. And there's the unmet needs assessment and action plan development. The third step will be outreach during the action plan development, which we're doing here today. There will then be a 30-day public comment period. And the fifth step will include the incorporation of final edits, a review based on public input from those such as yourselves. Following that, the next step will be to send the final action plan submission to HUD. The HUD review period will begin, and they will have 45 days to review. Following that HUD review period, financial certifications and implementation plan occurs, which is 135 days after the Federal Register publication every 5th year. After this, the grant agreement with HUD will be executed, and lastly, policies and procedures will then be funded.
FloridaCommerce has received a total of more than $4.3 billion since 2017. to administer community development block grant disaster recovery and mitigation funds to communities impacted by Hurricane Matthew, Irma, Michael, Sally, Ian. We are also fortunate to have a mitigation program. In most currently the 23-24 storms for a total of which is $925 million. And that's a recap of the $4.3 billion that we've been awarded to date. And we have also spent $1.1 billion of the disaster funding helping Florida recover. On this slide, you will find some important dates regarding the 2023 and 2024 storm funding timeline. On January 2016 of this year, HUD announced that the state of Florida would receive more than $925 million in allocated funds to serve 47 storm-impacted Florida counties. Currently, during February and March, ongoing meetings are being held with the 47 impacted counties. This is occurring in tandem with these community and stakeholder workshop meetings. We are hosting these community workshops early in the process to help develop our first draft of our action plan. Tentatively, beginning March 12th through April 14th, the draft of Florida's State Action Plan for Disaster Recovery will be posted for a 30-day public comment period, during which anyone can submit questions or comments on the State Action Plan draft. 3 public hearings will be held during the 30-day public comment period, which anyone can attend to discuss our draft, ask questions, or leave comments for consideration. Details on this will be made available on our website, through social media, and through our email mailing list. After the 30-day public comment period, we will revise the state action plan, incorporating the feedback received, and the final version of the document will be submitted to HUD in the month of April. We have talked about the timeline for developing the state action plan, but what is an action plan? The action plan provides a high-level strategy for how the funding will be used to address unmet recovery and resiliency needs following disasters. FloridaCommerce is leading the state's efforts to create the action plan, which is developed by required input from stakeholders, community members, community leaders, community-based organizations to help ensure that impacted communities recover from 23-24 storms. The community workshops we are hosting, including this one, are how we receive feedback from you. To note, the action plan is due to HUD on April 21st, 2025. A 30-day public comment period is prior to the action plan submission, and the 45-day HUD review period is after the submission of the action plan. Following the publication of the Federal Register notice published on January 16th, 2025, 47 counties have been identified as most impacted and distressed areas and are eligible for the 23-24 storm CDBG-DR programs from the state of Florida. In the aftermath of the storms, HUD identified 22 mid-counties and 25 additional counties have been identified by the state of Florida as being a state mid-county. These counties will be served directly by the state of Florida through FloridaCommerce and Rebuild Florida. On this slide, you will find a map that shows the counties that are state designated mid areas as well as HUD designated areas. This list and map can also be found on our website.
Let's talk about some potential programs under the 23 and 24 storm allocation. Some programs for the CDBG-DR funding will possibly include housing programs such as the Housing Repair and Replacement Program and the Workforce Affordable Housing Program. Some other notable potential programs could also include the Infrastructure Repair Program and the Hazard Mitigation Grant Match Program. Let's talk about the housing program outline. Our housing program will likely run to support communities impacted by the 23 and 24 storms. Our state action plan will identify ways in which we might assist citizens who have experienced damage to their homes from the 23 and 24 storms. In the coming weeks, we'll offer those interested in assistance through our housing repair and replacement program to fill out our pre-application survey. That'll help us assess your needs. At this time, we're currently still developing this survey, but once the survey is finalized, it'll be posted on our webpage. If you're interested in housing assistance, please visit the 2023 and 2024 storms webpage. If anyone has questions about the pre-application survey today, we'll have an email address posted up on this slide where you can submit questions, comments, concerns about that survey. After our state action plan is approved, we'll begin designing the program to meet the needs of community members such as yourselves. Once our program is launched, those who are eligible and completed the pre-application survey will be invited to apply. Other citizens who are interested in applying at a later date will be directed to our application portal. Applicants will be served in a phased process designed to serve the most vulnerable individuals first. So those in phase 1 will be served first, then phase 2, and so on, until all eligible applicants have been served or until funds are completely expended. Those who are approved will begin the process of then having their homes repaired or replaced. We're going to go into some success stories under our current and past housing repair and replacement programs FloridaCommerce has run. The Hurricane Michael housing program has seen some successful completions of home reconstructions. And this slide portrays a great example of one of those stories. This reconstruction in Ebro, Florida, Washington County, was one of a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home where the awarded amount to complete the recon was $268,000. Key turnover was June 13, 2023. This reconstruction included resiliency measures with impact-resistant windows, doors, and it was a green-efficient home as certified by the Florida Green Building Coalition. Talk about our current program under operation, the Hurricane Ian Housing Repair and Replacement Program. It's another great success story we'd like to share. This slide shows before and after photos of a reconstructed home. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath in Crescent City, Florida, in Putnam County. Total award amount to complete this project was about $342,000. This applicant applied for the program on May 6th, and the construction of this home was completed on November 11th. Just 205 days between the point in time that the applicant applied, and then we're back in their new home. This home's resiliency measures include impact-resistant windows, doors, lead-based paint abatement. This home was built to 2023 code. On the next 2 slides, we'll look at some success stories in our first housing repair and replacement program, the Hurricane Irma Housing Repair and Replacement Program. For this home, we can see the before and after photos of a 3-bedroom, 2-bath stick-built reconstructed home located in Jacksonville, Florida. This home was completed in November 2023, also built to Florida Building Code with impact-resistant windows, doors. And if you take a look at this project, this is a mobile home replacement project. This was also a 3-bed, 2-bath located in Clewiston, Florida. It was completed in 2022. I will note that in our current iterations of the housing repair and replacement program, those on owned land with manufactured housing units can take the option to have a stick-built reconstructed home built on site, or the option of a replacement mobile home. So again, I want to thank, on behalf of Alicia, myself, and the team here at FloridaCommerce, everybody for joining on the call today. If you do have questions that you would like us to answer, please submit them to the email link that you see on the screen, 2023 and 2024 storms at commerce.fl.gov. You can send them snail mail to the address that you see up on that slide. Somebody will reach back out to you. We'll get your questions answered directly. So thank you so much for joining our call today. We're really excited about this funding allocation and the potential programs that we may run to serve your communities. There's also a QR code that you can scan here and sign up for stakeholder updates and citizen updates. Again, thank you so much for joining the call, everyone today. Please reach out to the phone number that you see there and or submit your comments directly to the email 2023 and 2024 storms@commerce.fl.gov. On behalf of Florida Commerce, thank you so much and have a great day.